All right, let's get into Friday feedback for the week. Remember that you can email info@davidpakman.com if you have an email, but we will also sometimes feature YouTube comments, Blue Sky replies, what else? Facebook messages sometimes. Anytime that we gather feedback, we may feature it here. Let's start with a poll that we did on the David Pakman Show YouTube channel. We asked, can Democrats win in 2028 without major changes? 105,000 of you voted. 79% say that Democrats need a complete strategy overhaul to win in 2028. 7% of you say the strategy is perfect, but Kamala Harris was just a bad candidate. And 14% just wanted to see the results. So really, it's really more like in the 90s% believe that a complete strategy overhaul is needed. I don't disagree. I believe that as far as 2028, I would like to see a candidate overhaul in terms of thinking of the sorts of candidates that we want. I would like a policy overhaul, and I would like a strategic communications overhaul. It's really a complete and total overhaul. I agree with that very, very much. On Instagram, Scotty Jared said, this transgender stuff really bothers them. Where is this passion for the children being killed by guns? Yeah, the number of, quote, problems in sports related to trans people or whatever, almost non-existent. Now, it doesn't mean we don't care about problems that affect a small number of people. But what I can tell you is look at the number of kids being killed by guns and, we can't politicize it. Let the experts, meaning the NRA, handle it. No, it's quite sick, in fact. And my belief is if in 1,000 years we explain to people, there was this political party in 2024, kids were being killed by guns, people being killed by guns. They didn't want to do anything about it, but they were very worried about a trans woman participating in swimming. That was a really big priority for them that they thought faced humanity. I assume the people 1,000 years from now would go, what the hell was wrong with people in 2024? Okay, Diane said on YouTube, one problem with our food supply is not enough regulation, which is why Europeans enjoy food with fewer chemicals. What do you think food companies will do if regulations are removed? So I think it's important to be really careful with this stuff. I do believe we need food regulation, and we need it in order to stem the spread of foodborne illness, but we need it absolutely, we need regulation. I also think it's important to acknowledge that some of the TikTok food safety stuff that we see is kind of nonsense. For example, people have to say, in Europe, they've banned red dye. It's illegal in Europe. It's clearly so bad. Well, in Europe, they have a identical but differently named version of it, which is illegal here, but it is legal in Europe. So I am the first person to say, we got to cut the unprocessed foods. We have all sorts of problems with food in the United States. But also some of the stuff you're seeing on TikTok about red dye and seed oils and, all this sort of stuff, it's very much just fodder for videos, and it doesn't really reflect the views of science. Iris Dude has advice for Democrats and says, stop running as diet Republicans. Start talking about working class issues. Build a megaphone capable of getting your message to the correct audience. All good advice. Part of the, three-pronged framework I laid out earlier, which is we need to overhaul our view of what makes a good candidate. We need to overhaul policy, and we need to overhaul the communications plan. And that includes, podcasting, a left-wing media ecosystem, really all of it. Mrs. Garcia, about the Pete Hegseth nomination to run the Pentagon, says, I'll quit drinking on the job if you let me run the Pentagon, is the most alcoholic thing ever. Yeah, this struck me. I want to be careful. As someone who does not have a drinking problem myself, I don't in any way want to be insensitive to people struggling with an alcohol use disorder. But when I heard Pete Hegseth say both, I don't have a problem, and also I'll promise to quit drinking if you make me Secretary of Defense, it struck me as the sort of thing that someone who has a problem with alcohol would say, which is both deny the problem and say that you'll stop. That's what I heard. And at least anecdotally, Mrs. Garcia seems to agree. Also about the Hegseth nomination, Cindy wrote, have you ever applied for a job and had your mom listed as your character reference? Any employer would laugh and throw the resume away. You know, I found it humiliating when Republican senators, after Pete Hegseth's mommy went on TV and talked about what a good boy he is, I found it humiliating for the senators who said, no, I think she made a difference. I'm finding myself influenced. You're influenced by what the mom of the nominee says? Of course she's going to say good things of a 44-year-old man. I was embarrassed for the senators who said they really thought that she did a good job. Sam wrote in and says, I don't think David gets enough credit. I agree. But Sam specifically said, I don't think David gets enough credit for being a great debate moderator. Even in the past, when he's had people like Dennis Prager on for debates, he doesn't put in his thumb on the scale too much and keeps the conversation on track. Well, I try. I'll be honest. I don't think I'm that good as a debate moderator, but I do not try to inject myself unless it is absolutely necessary. There was one debate I did, or a panel I moderated, where everybody was talking about Jewish stuff and nobody was Jewish. And I felt like I should maybe just give my perspective as the only Jewish person even participating in the conversation. But Wild American said, don't worry, you and everyone that's been on your show will be investigated by the new FBI director for defamation of Chachter. Start kissing your kid goodbye. You know, I don't even really want to respond substantively to bringing up my kid, and I don't like this. What I will take this opportunity to remind the people in my audience, there is a large swath of MAGA that is out for blood. Now that Trump won, they want to see anyone that they perceive to be a political adversary, hosts of left-wing media shows like this one, Democrats, Joe Biden's family, Obama's family, they want to see everybody targeted. And the really scary thing is that Trump is picking people who have said, we want to do exactly that. We want to target our political enemies, our political adversaries. That is our plan. That's what we plan to do. So as far as what Wild American is saying, all right, I hope it doesn't happen. But there is no doubt that there is a movement that wants that exactly. They want revenge. They're out for blood. And we've got to make sure they don't achieve that. Danny Van Hoos says on Facebook, David Pakman needs to be charged for slander. And David Kropp responded and said, sorry, truth is a defense. So slander is a type of defamation that happens with oral communication. Okay, I guess sometimes if it's written, it wouldn't be slander, it's libel. So slander would be things you say. They have to be false. They have to be defamatory, meaning it harms someone. You have to be able to show that you were damaged by it. It must have included negligence or intent to harm. We do not slander on this program. When I say things that are negative about others, it is because I believe them and I believe that they are based in fact, and I am saying them only with the intent of communicating the truth of the world around us. So is it possible that in a new Trump era, they're going to come after me for slander? It's possible with people like Kash App Patel nominated to the FBI. It's certainly possible. Would it be appropriate? It very much would not. I want to let you know that we had a great achievement over the last week. I finished recording the audiobook of my forthcoming book, The Echo Machine. I'm going to be completely upfront with everybody. I think it came out awesome, and it was not my favorite part of the process. And the part that I didn't like about it is that it takes a very long time. It's excruciating. And then the audio engineer who I worked with, who was awesome, he would say, David, I'm going to stop you there. I'm going to stop you there. Can you go back 4 sentences? Because that P was a little bit explosive. You popped that P. It's got to come out perfect. I can't be popping P's all over my book, but I am so glad that it was done. You can pre-order the book in hardcover. You can order it in audiobook. You can order it in ebook, Kindle, etc. Anywhere books are sold. And for those of you who want to support local independent bookstores, any bookstore can order this book and get it for you on its publication date. You call the bookstore, you say, sir or ma'am, I'd like to pre-order David Pakman's The Echo Machine from Beacon Press. They will get it for you. So many exciting things forthcoming about book events and all this different stuff. For now, everybody who pre-orders gets a signed book plate and a bunch of other free goodies, truly free. No shipping cost, no handling fee, no processing, none of that, okay? You've got to order the book and then go to davidpakman.com/free book stuff, where you can submit your receipt. They'll get you everything. Works internationally. Exciting. Can't ship to North Korea, but most of the world we can ship to. We'll see you on the bonus show. Well, I wrote a book after a long journey and a ton of work. I am really thrilled with how it turned out, and I hope you'll read it. The book is called The Echo Machine, and in a nutshell, it looks at how American politics got so broken, who has already figured out solutions, and how we can try to fix it and stop the terror of Trump for the next 4 years. With Trump winning this election, The Echo Machine couldn't be more relevant, not only a warning about how we got here, but also about what might be coming and how to prevent the worst outcomes. We've got to stay engaged. We need a plan, and that's what the book is about. There's a belief out there that unless you have corporate media behind you, you can't have a successful political book launch, that it's not possible. I think we can prove that wrong. Order The Echo Machine today at davidpakman.com/echo on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Audible, Kindle, anywhere that books, ebooks, and audiobooks are sold. You can also call any local bookstore and say, please order me The Echo Machine by David Pakman. Wherever you get the book, you'll get the free pre-order perks, including the signed book plate. Head to davidpakman.com/free book stuff after ordering.